How's it going, everybody? So today I'm going to start a new series of EA development, and it's going to be in the specific about finding candlestick patterns in the chart and also drawing objects to help us to find those patterns. Before to start the video, if this is the first time you're on this channel, please subscribe and don't forget to click on the bell icon so you will receive notification about future videos. And this is going to be really important because this series is going to be updating constantly. Now, in the past few days, I haven't been really uploading nothing just because I was trying to make sure that I was going to learn everything about how to do what I'm going to show you today. So let's get started. Today we're going to write two functions for the objects, and in the specific it's going to be about arrows and to draw arrows in the chart, and the other one is going to be to delete objects. Now, when it's going to be about candlestick patterns, what we're going to be doing is that we're going to look for identifying in the chart bearish engulfing. So, about bearish engulfing, there are three types of bearish engulfing that I want to talk about today. The first one is going to be the negative gap bearish engulfing, which is going to be that. So, if the close of the previous candle is going to be higher compared to the open of the new candle that will be bearish, then I will call that negative gap candlestick. Now, if instead the close and the open is going to be the same, I will call it no gap. And if we're going to have a gap up, well, I'm going to call it positive gap. Now, positive gap is when the close of the candle or the previous candle is going to be lower compared to the new candle open. So the close is going to be lower compared to the new candle open, right? So we have a gap up candle. So let's get started, and I think that the first thing we should do, well, definitely is going to be to let's create a new file script, yeah, and we're going to call this one objects functions. All right, so we can close this one, which was actually my first ever script ever done here. So what we'll be doing here is just to try to look for to draw arrows down, or arrows up in this case, I believe. No, we're gonna do draw arrow down because definitely the arrow is gonna be upwards. So let's create the first function, and the first function is gonna be, actually this is wrong. We don't need that. We need a include file. All right, so we're gonna call this include file objects function. All right, perfect. All right, we can close the other one because we don't need that. Yep, so it's gonna be it. Now let's start with just defining what this will be. So the first ever function we're gonna be writing about objects is going to be drawing arrows pointing down. Perfect. All right, so we can keep going. Okay, so the first thing to do is going to be definitely to create the function itself. Now, this function is not going to return any type of value. So we can just call it void. So void is not gonna return anything. Draw arrow down. That's gonna be a good name. So what kind of information do we need to ask to the program to give it to us? So I would definitely say that we're gonna need an integer. That's gonna be the chat ID. Then the second parameter is gonna be a string, which is gonna be the arrow name. Afterwards, we're gonna have to enter a sub window in case we need one, and that's gonna be an integer. All right, everything is gonna make sense in a second. Then we're gonna need the date time. Now, the reason why we need the date time is because when we're gonna identify candlesticks in the chart, we're gonna have two type of, let's say, X and Y points. The one would be definitely the price, and the second one would be the time when the candle was formed. So the open time of the candle. So let's do this. Right, going back to the actual script, daytime, we're just gonna call this one time, and then we're gonna have a double because we're gonna have also the line price. So line price, and the last one is gonna be a type color, and that's gonna be the line color, or we can call it arrow color, why not? All right, we have all the information that we're gonna need to pass at this point, so we can actually start writing the function. Now the function is gonna be quite simple. The first thing we're not gonna need is gonna be to call the function object create, and in here we're gonna need to use the chat ID, and then the arrow name. Then we're gonna have to use the object arrow sub window, just making sure that I'm typing this right, sub window, yeah. Then we called it time, and the last thing to use here is gonna be the line price. All right, perfect. So that will be enough for us to create the object. Now we're gonna have to set certain parameters for the object to be working, to be shown in the actual chart. So the first thing we're gonna do is gonna be object set integer, and in the first one we're just gonna apply the style of the arrow. So once again, chat ID, and then we're gonna use the arrow name. So arrow name, because it will be the identifier to find the arrow in the actual in the chart. Then we're gonna need to add an object property, which is gonna be style, object prop style, and then the last one is gonna be the style solid. Right, perfect. So also the second one is done. I just figured out that I had here a problem. All right, next is going to be another object set integer. Object set integer. This time is going to be about what kind of symbol we're going to use for the actual arrow. So chat ID, arrow name, and you get used to it really quickly. This time the property we're going to use is going to be arrow code. So we're just going to type object prop arrow code, and in this case we're going to be using the symbol of the arrow down. So symbol arrow down, perfect, is already the first one. And the last one is going to be to choose the color that we want to use for the actual of the actual arrow. So I'm going to just say object set integer, and this time we're going to be doing chat ID, arrow name. You see, this is going to be also very easy to do. And then this time we're going to use the object property color, and we're just going to pass in here the arrow code color. All right, great. Now this is the first actual function we're gonna be writing. We're just gonna compile to make sure that everything is fine, and it's gonna find that the sub window, and okay, so there we go. I didn't write this right. So compile now. There are no errors. So going back to our spreadsheet here, we can say that the arrow has been done. We can mark it here as green, and the next well, the next one we don't really need to write one because it's just going to be a already built-in function, so we don't need to do this. Now going back to the actual code here, the next thing we're going to be doing is that we're going to just create a new file, and this time we're going to create the candlestick functions, and our first function is going to be about the bearish engulfing. So new, this time is going to be once again an include, and we're going to call this candlestick functions, because all the functions we're going to be making in the future about candlestick are going to be in here. So the first one I'm going to be doing, as we said, is going to be the bearish, yeah, we can call this bearish engulfing finder. All right, perfect. I'm very organized when it's about coding, just because otherwise this is gonna get really messy. And definitely one of the things that I learned in the past few days is that we don't want this to be messy. Alright, this time the function is going to return something, and it's going to return a bool value, which is going to be either true or false in case the script is going to find the pattern, or if it doesn't, going to do it. So we're going to say, we're going to write bool, and we're going to have to choose a name for this specific function. We're going to call it bearish engulfing check, maybe, or finder. Let's just call it check, because we're just checking here. Now the parameters this time that we're gonna have to pass are gonna be slightly bigger. So starting with the first thing we want to know is gonna be the first candle ID, and this is gonna be an integer. Then I will explain to you how this is gonna work once we're gonna run this. But the first candle ID, and then we can also add some comments here. Maybe let's say candle number 1 index. Yeah. Now which one is going to be the candle number 1? This one or this one? Well, definitely the first candle is this one here. This is candle number 2. Okay. So we're gonna have to look for this, and the next thing we're gonna look for is gonna be the second candle ID, and this time here is going to be different, because this time is going to be the candle 2 ID. So it's going to be the index candle number 2. Perfect. Now what we want to do now is going to be really important, because we want to give the flexibility of the trader to set his own parameters, to choose what is and what is not to him a bearish engulfing pattern. Because of that, we're gonna give him also the chance to choose how many pips or how many ticks is going to be the candle number 1. So let's do this, and we're gonna say integer first candle minimum tick size. Alright, so definitely this one is just going to be the minimum ticks accepted for candle number 1. So what it doesn't mean is that this candle has to be, for instance, at least 5 ticks or 10 ticks, which is going to be 1 pip. That's going to be the minimum size. And also we want to give him the first candle maximum tick size, and this time it's just going to be the opposite. This time it's going to be the maximum ticks accepted for candle number 1. So this way we can actually understand what's going to be the minimum size of this, and we can choose this. Next thing we want to use as a parameter is the percentage of engulfing, and this is going to be a very important concept, because basically the idea of engulfing is that the second candle has to engulf the first candle. Now what's going to be the minimum percentage we're going to accept, and what's going to be the maximum percentage we're going to accept based on the first candle body size. So we're going to do also ask the trader to give us this information, and we're gonna just call this engulfing minimum percentage. Yeah, and this is gonna be the minimum percentage. I don't know why doesn't look right. Okay, I'm new to Windows, sorry guys, sometimes I'm gonna mess up a little, but it's gonna be the minimum engulfing percentage. All right. Next one is gonna be the maximum, so it's gonna be engulfing maximum percentage. All right, and this is gonna be just the maximum engulfing percentage. We're also gonna have to pass the last parameter, which is gonna be another integer. Now this integer is gonna be the gap type. We already talked about the gap type. It can be negative, it can be equal, so no gap, or a positive gap. We're gonna call this gap type, and here we're just gonna write check. Well, it checks the type of gap. Yeah. All right. Now we have all the parameters set in place, and at this point we can actually start with the actual code. So let's do this. All right. So let's give it some extra lines. If you remember, I told you this is gonna return a bool value. So we're gonna define this value here, and we're gonna say that we're gonna call this data. All right. So this is gonna be the value that's gonna be returning in the end. So the first thing you wanna do is to understand what kind of type the candle is gonna be. Now to do this, I'm gonna have to write a separate function, but for now, I already know how the function is gonna be. So I'm just gonna type integer. Basically what we're gonna be doing is that we're gonna check if the candle is gonna be bearish or bullish, and as I said, I'm gonna have to write a second type, function for this, and we're gonna do this in the end of the video. So for now, just let's keep going. So the first candle type is going to be equals to candle type, which is a function that for now doesn't exist yet, but we're going to write it in a second. And we're going to use the open of the first candle ID, and we're going to also use the close of the first candle ID. So we're going to use the first, the close and the open. That way we're going to figure out if the candle is going to be bearish or if it's going to be bullish. All right, we're going to do the same for the second candle. So we're going to call this second candle type, and we're going to be using the same function, so candle type function. And once again, we're going to just send the same parameters, so open, but this time of the second candle ID, and the second parameter is going to be the close of the second candle ID. Right, perfect, done. Now we're going to know that we're going to know exactly if the first candle is going to be a bearish candle or a bullish candle, but in this case the first candle is going to be bullish, just because this is going to be based on that. I will be uploading, updating the script at some point where we might have a bearish and bearish pattern, okay? But for now we don't need this. So we're gonna know already that the first candle is bullish, because it must be. So, and the second candle, all right, bullish, and second candle is going to be bearish. So we're gonna just start with the if check. So we're gonna say if first candle type is gonna be equal to 1. So we're gonna assign 1 to bullish and 2 to bearish when we're gonna create this function, and it's gonna return that. And second candle type is gonna be equal to 2, which means that it's gonna be a bearish candle. Now, what we're going to be doing, the first thing we're going to be doing is that we're going to need to check the first candle size, and this is another function we're going to have to write in a second time, but I already know in my head how it's going to be. So we're going to just say integer first candle size candle size is going to be equals to this function candle size, and it's going to be requesting a open, and then it's going to request the first candle ID. All right, and then he's going to request the close, and the close is going to be about the first candle ID once again, and the candle type. So we're going to just say this is going to be about the first candle size, so we're going to just send him the first candle type, I believe. Yeah, all right, great. Now we have all the parameters, and that way we're going to know exactly how much it's going to be. So now that we know that, the next thing to do is to make another check. And since we are requesting the minimum size and the maximum size in ticks that the candle has to be, now we're gonna have to do a check. So let's check if candle number 1 is going to be the right size. So we're gonna just say if first candle size is gonna be smaller than the first, well, yeah, it's gonna be greater, right? It's gonna be greater than the first candle minimum ticks, yeah? Candle minimum, why doesn't it give me that? Oh, because I spelled this wrong. So candle, right? So candle minimum, oh come on, why? First candle minimum tick size. Well, let's just copy that. Yep. And also first candle size. Okay, I'm really spelling bad today. Is gonna be smaller than first candle max. Yeah, max strike sticks. Then we can get started. All right, you're gonna see that we do a lot of checks, and this is just because I'm trying to do things in the right way, and I want to make sure that things are gonna work. All right, so at this point we need to also understand what's gonna be the second candle size, and we're gonna use the candle size function, and this time we're gonna send the open of the second candle ID, second candle ID. We're gonna send the close of the second candle ID, second candle ID, and we're gonna be sending also the second candle type, second candle type. All right, so we have sent all the information that we need. Perfect. Now we do that, and at this point we need to understand what's going to be the actual percentage. So because the user is going to send us, for instance, 30%, but we need to add well, we need to understand first of all how much is going to be the 30%, and afterwards we're going to have to add to this the number to the first candle size, but we're going to need to use another type of variable. So we're going to call this, I'm not great with names, so first candle minimum rust. It's going to be equal to first candle size, right? Times 1, because this, because what's okay, I'm gonna show you in a second. 1 plus engulfing minimum percentage divide by 100. So the reason why we are doing this is because if we don't do the +1, it's going to give us a negative number, and that's not what we need. And the second one is going to be the first candle max bust, and it's going to be first candle size, right, time 1 plus engulfing max percentage, engulfing max percentage divide by 100. Alright, great. Now we have that. So the next check we want to do is that, well, we should have, so we check if the minimum and maximum engulfing that trader wants is good enough. So what we're going to be doing is that if, alright, we are almost done here, guys, don't worry, okay? So if second candle size is going to be small, is going to be greater, right, than first candle min bust, and again second candle size is smaller. Okay, just give me a second because I really like to space things out. First candle max bust, yeah. So if that happened, we're gonna enter this if cycle. Now this if cycle it's gonna start with a switch, and this time we're gonna be using the variable gap type. So we've been talking already about what gap type is. We have 3 different types, but then we're gonna do 4 different cases, okay? And I will tell you what's gonna be the different cases step by step. So starting from the first case, so case number 1 is gonna be, okay, so if the user is gonna send 1 as parameter, then we're gonna just say that 1 is gonna be equal to negative gaps accepted. So we're gonna just do simply if the close of first candle ID is gonna be greater than the open, right? Of the second candle ID, then we're just gonna say that data is equal to true, and we're gonna break here the switch. Now we said the first candle ID, so the close of the first candle ID has to be greater because we accept negative gaps. So let's see, what does it mean? So if the close of the first candle is greater in price compared to this one, it means that we are accepting negative gaps. Okay, so we did the first one, 3 to go. Case 2, we're just gonna say 2 is gonna be equals to positive gaps accepted. Now what's gonna be a positive gap? We've already been talking about this. Simply it's just gonna be a gap up engulfing. So it's gonna be easy to write this. We're gonna say if the close of the first candle ID is gonna be smaller this time of open of the I do this mistake all the time. I should really avoid this because this can really give me troubles. But anyway, open of second candle ID. Then what's gonna happen if this happened? Simply, we're just gonna say that data is true, and we're gonna just return that. So it means that we're gonna just show to people that type of thing. All right, great. Now let's do the case number 3. Case number 3 is gonna be 3 is equals to only same close and same open are accepted, which means that basically we're just gonna check for only this type of patterns here. All right, so we're gonna say that if close of first candle, why? Okay, candle ID is going to be equal to the close, so to the open of the second candle ID. So if that happened, this time data is true. Oh, come on. Data is equal to true, and we're gonna break here the script. Okay, now we're gonna have the last case, and it's gonna be the case number 4, and number 4 is gonna be about if pretty much we want to check, and this is gonna be most likely what people want, this type and this type together without this one, okay? Because this one is something that most likely people will not want to check for. All right, how do I hide this? Option, remove, no. I want to remove the dock. Oh my God, I can't do that. All right, great. So case number 4 is going to be basically the case 2 plus case 3, which means that gaps which means that we look for gap up patterns and patterns also that are equal, right? So we're gonna just say that if the close of first candle ID is gonna be smaller or equal, right? Because we are doing this together, of open of second candle ID. All right, then data is going to be equal to true, and also we're going to break here. Now, what if none of these cases are going to be valid? Well, we're just going to type here default, and this is going to be the default case in case nothing is going to match, and we're going to say that data is equal to false. Simple as that. All right, so we should be done here, and let's think about. So in here also we want to return, in case the first check was not right, then we're just gonna say data is equal to false, and also in that one here, if this check is not gonna be going right, we're just gonna say else data is equal to false. All right, perfect. Almost perfect. Okay. All right, and then we need to return something, and we're gonna return in here data. So that's what I was telling you earlier. Earlier I was telling you that this was going to return something, and in this case it's going to return data. All right, now we're gonna have to check, we're gonna have to write 2 different new function. The first one is gonna be candle type, and the second one is going to be candle size. All right, let's do this. Alright, so to do this, I'm thinking about first of all, I'm thinking that in here we're gonna need that. Alright, so let's get started. The first one we're gonna write is gonna be called, let's say, well, the candle size. So check for candle size. So we already know that this is gonna be named candle size. This time it's gonna return an integer, if you remember. We're gonna say integer candle size, and this time it's gonna return, if you remember, we were using 3 data for this one. We're gonna use the open, the close, and the candle type. So candle size is gonna require a double number, which is gonna be the open. Why is double? Because the open is a floating number, and we're gonna also require a double close and then integer candle type. Right? We want to make sure that the candle type is gonna be either 1 or 2. So let's start from this. Actually, we're gonna start saying that 0 is same close and same open. Then the number 1, we said it's gonna be is a bullish candle, right? You know, I'm talking about these parameters that we're sending, right? And it's really important to keep track of them. And 2 is a bearish candle, right? Now that we have that clear in mind, the first thing we need to understand is going to be the decimal points. So how do we do that? So there is a built function for do this. It's going to be digits, and digits is going to tell us exactly how many digits there will be in this pair. So understand how many decimal points. And to do this, we're just going to create first an integer. We're going to call it decimal amount, and this is going to be equal to 0. It's not really a decimal amount because it's not going to return this. It's going to actually return, no, that's right, but that's not what we want. So let's just call it multiplication factor maybe. So we're gonna have to go through a if cycle, if and else if. There's gonna be if. Now digits. Oh come on, digits is gonna be the predefined one of the predefined variables that I was telling you, and this is gonna return how many digits this script is gonna have, starting from 2, because why not? It might happen that we're gonna have to deal with pairs with 2 digits. You never know. So if it's gonna be 2, we're just gonna say that is gonna be equals to 100. Yeah, perfect. And this is gonna be the first one. Yeah. Then else if digits is gonna be equal to 3, then in this case this one is gonna be 1,000. No, sorry, my cats like to scream a lot when I do this type of things. All right, and else if digits is gonna be equal, digits is gonna be equal to 4, then in this case malfa is gonna be equal to 10,000, well 100,000, 10,000, and right, and then afterwards the last one's gonna be with 5, so else well, just let's say else if it's gonna be just more, it's just gonna be better. Malfact is gonna be equal to 100, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000. Perfect. All right, so now it's gonna be time to actually understand the real body size. I'm gonna make, and it's gonna be made in ticks. So we're gonna need an integer. I'm gonna call this real body size. Real body size is going to be equal to 0 starting, and if it's going to be bearish, so that's why we're going to pass the candle type. So we're going to say that if well, let's start with bullish actually, why not, since bullish makes more sense, so because it's going to be the number 1, right? So we're going to say that if candle type okay, candle type, yeah, is going to be equal to 1, then we're going to have a bullish candle, and what I'll be doing is that we're going to say that real body size is going to be equal to open minus close, right? And this is the one, two of the variables that we're passing, but then we're going to have also to time this the malfact to have the right number, and then we're going to just return the real size body. Actually, that would be kind of pointless to return this in here because we're going to have to return it in the end anyway. So we're just going to say that else if candle type is going to be equal to 1. Wait a second. Haha, this is wrong because we need to close minus open because we're dealing with a bullish candle. All right, so if that happens, so this time if this is going to be like number 2, then we're just going to say that real body size is going to be equals to open minus close times malfact. Yep. And then afterwards we're going to return body real body size. All right, now just to double check, if it's a bearish candle, we're going to do open minus close. Why we do this? This is a bearish candle, we're going to do open, right, minus close, because the open is going to be greater and we want to understand what's going to be in the between. Instead, if it's going to be a bullish candle, we're going to do the close minus open, right? It's going to be the close minus open because we want to have a positive number. All right, so the next thing to do is to write the simple function that we're going to be using for the candle type. All right, check for candle type. All right, great. So let's do this. So this is going to be actually quite simple, because to do that, we're just going to need to say Well, we're gonna have to return an integer because it's gonna be either 1 or 2, or it can also be 0 actually, just in case things gonna be wrong. Maybe not wrong, but in case that you're gonna have the same open and the same close. So first we're gonna just say candle type, it's gonna be the name, we're gonna return an integer, and this time we're just gonna need a double open and double close. That's all the parameters we're gonna need for this function. So we're gonna start saying with double candle difference is gonna be equals to open minus close. And basically by doing this, we can understand if it's going to be a positive number, then it's going to be a, well, in this case here, we're going to do open, right? Open minus close. So if it's going to be smaller, then we're going to have a bullish number. And if it's going to be greater, we're going to have a bearish number. All right, perfect. So there we go here. So it's gonna be candle difference, and we're just gonna copy and paste whatever we wrote here just as reference, and we're gonna start with the cycle. All right, so if candle difference is gonna be smaller than 0, then that's gonna be a bullish candle. So we're just gonna say bullish candle, and we're gonna what we're gonna be doing, can we return right away here? Yeah, we can. We're just gonna return 1, that's it. And then I'm gonna say else if candle difference is gonna be greater than 0. This really bothers me, sorry about that, but this really bothers me. Alright, if it's gonna be greater than 0, then we have a bearish candle, and we're just gonna return 2, and we're gonna also need an extra else in case none of the two is gonna happen. And you know, in this case we're just gonna return, we're gonna have a same open and same close candle, and we're gonna return 0 this time because 0 is the number we assign for that. Now let's try to compile this, and I was expecting to have some problems, but it looks like we do, so nothing unexpected. Now on line 72, actually 65, there is some problem with this if. Open parenthesis expected. Alright, so what's that? 65? 65 if, and we did open the candle. Right, we're gonna say else if what? Else if digits is gonna be equal to 5, yeah? Let's compile now, let's see. There is another error, and candle type is indicator identifier on line 73. Most likely because I can't type. And now we don't have any more error. Now everything should be ready. So I'm positive to say that we just finished to write the bearish engulfing. And we could write that we wrote additional. So let's call this additional functions. And we're gonna say that the first one we wrote was the candle type. Candle type and candle size. And we wrote both of them. Amazing. Great, we wrote a bunch of things today. So it's time to actually write the script that we're going to be running to check if this works. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, we're going to have to file new script, This time it's gonna be a script, and we're gonna call this bearish test. Well, let's call it engulfing test. All right, finish. Now, what we want to do here, well, this is gonna be kind of easy to do because let's think about this. We want to go through different type of candles, and then we want to make sure that this is going to return some value. So the first thing we want to do, of course, is going to be to include just the the function we just been writing. So objects function dot mqh. So this is going to be the first one, and the second one is going to be an include of the second one, which is going to be the candlestick functions dot mqh. All right, so since I don't trust my typing skills, I'm just gonna have to check and everything was right. So what we want to be doing is that we're going to define an integer for the first candle, and we're going to assign this to 0, and then afterwards we're going to go a for loop to check for the last, I don't know, 200 candles. We're going to say for integer I, right? I has to be smaller than 200, and we're gonna increment I on each cycle by 1, and we're just gonna first right away say that the first candle, yeah, is gonna be equals to I plus 1. We're gonna increment this every cycle, and let's call it check is equals to bearish engulfing check. Amazing. And now we're gonna have to find some data to send it. So what I'm doing, okay, so the first thing we want to do is to send in the value. If you remember, here we were sending the candle ID and second candle ID, and I was telling you it was the index, and we're going to be using the loop to understand what kind of candle we want to get returned. So in the first case, we're going to do first candle is going to be I plus 1, so we're going to send this one as first candle. We're going to just say first candle, and then the second candle is going to be just I, because it's going to be the current index. Now we're going to have to send them also I believe the maximum ticks and minimum ticks. Let's see. Right, the minimum ticks accepted. So let's say we want to send as minimum ticks accepted, I don't know, 5, and maximum is going to be 50 pips. Let's do something huge. Now let's just, yeah, and then because they're going to be in ticks, right? The percentage, let's say 10% is the minimum, and 5 times, 500% is going to be the maximum. And now the last thing to do is going to be the type of gap. Now let's start with number 4, because number 4 should return us a candle that basically is going to be so it's going to be a candle that it's going to return the bullish is going to be gap up or normal. But I forgot to do something actually, because now I'm thinking that we have also to draw the actual, we're going to have to draw the actual arrow. So we're going to just make a test bullet, right, for a check, and we're going to say that if test is equal to true, and test is going to be actually no, let's call it, it's not test, let's check, that's what I would call it. So if this is going to be true, right, what we're going to be doing here, so if this is going to be true, then what we're going to be doing is to draw the candle. To draw the arrow. Now, to draw the arrow, we already made a simple script to do this. So the first one is going to be the chart ID. It's going to be easy. We're just going to use the current one. So we're going to just type 0, and the name is going to be, let's call it arrow and plus I, yeah, and then sub window 0. We don't care about this. Date time. Now this is going to be interesting because we're going to have to use the time function. It's not a function, but it is a variable. It's one of the predefined variable, and we're just going to pass I. And next one is going to be line price. So since we are going to look for a bearish engulfing, we want the price, the line to be drawn, the arrow to be drawn upwards. So we're just going to say the eye of the candle. So eye of the candle, right? So it's going to be I. Let's say plus, I don't know, 1 pip, 3. Yeah, 1 pip. There we go. And well, this is definitely just a test, because what if we're going to handle, we're going to have to do this on a JPY pair, right? And the color, let's say color is going to be white. Why not? So it's going to stand out. So if everything is right, that should compile. There is one error, and it's first candle that clear identify. First candle. So do you believe me when I say that I don't trust my typing skill? On line 22. There we go. Never trust my typing. Alright, so it's time to check if this works. Oh, actually, I forgot about something. I said that I was going to also create a new, this is going to be easy, guys, so don't worry, it's just going to take a second. I'm also going to create a new script that's going to be quite simple, and delete all object. This is going to delete all the objects, and pretty much here we're just going to use the predefined function, I think, delete all. So this is going to pretty much allow us to delete all the type of objects that are going to be available. So I'm going to say object, I think it's objects delete. Yeah, delete all. And then it wants the chart ID, simple, 0. We compile this. Alright, we should be good. Now, going back to MT4. Alright, bearish engulfing test. Is this gonna work? Let's see. It doesn't look like it's working for some reason. We're gonna do int 1 equal to I. Oh my god. I didn't set any value to this, guys. Can you believe this? There we go. I found the problem here, and this time this should work. So let's have a test. There we go. As you can see, it finds this one as bearish engulfing. And if we're gonna switch, maybe, well, let's first delete all the object. Maybe 5 minutes, or maybe 30 minutes, why not? I think this is gonna be one of them, let's see. Well, this one it is, this one it is. This one most likely is not, just because it's probably too big. But you can see, well, this one is also bearish engulfing. Let's see if we can find something better. And in the specific, 1 hour, 15 minutes. Usually 15 minutes, they work the best. Well, it's not about working the best, you can find better pattern. You can see this one is 1, 2, and define this one doesn't look to be good enough, because I believe that this is 75, and I think the problem here is that it was a little gap down. So let's delete everything, and now we're gonna test the same thing. This time the test is gonna be about number one. Number one is gonna check only for negative. So if there is a gap down, right, so let's check for it. And here's that's the point. So we can see that the close was 335, and the open of this one here, can you give me it was 335, and the open of this one was 334. So this is actually gap down, even if it's only one tick. All right, good. Now let's check for the number two. So number two has to be only gap up. So let's see, only gap up. The little objects. This one is gap up, and this one is gap up, right? And the little objects. And now we're just gonna look for the number three, which is gonna be only gap. Well, only equal a close and open. Let's see if there's any. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. We can actually check. So the close of this candle here, well, there is a better way to do this. View and data window. Okay, the close of this one was 352, and the open of this one is open 352. The close of this one was 335, and this one was 335. But I would say that this is a really good achievement. So we can find on the chart every single bullish engulfing. On top of that, we can decide, different type of bearish engulfing we want. Negative gap, no gap, positive gap, or no gap plus positive gap. So, which is amazing. So you guys, if you have any suggestion about this, please let me know in the comment section. If you have any idea about any type of indicator, let me know. And also, if you have any type of maybe a tip for improvements, I'm open to it. So guys, don't forget to subscribe. We do have a Telegram channel if you want to join it. So that way you will be notified every time I'm going to be trading live. I'm so used to trade that I'm not used to code, say trading live, but it's going to be about coding live, because I do code every day on Zoom meeting. You can watch me doing it. And yeah, so guys, I will talk to you soon.